going to spend our time talking about the Eternals. This is going to be such a great conversation today because this is one of those that's getting a lot of coverage, and of course, it's a superhero movie. Of course, it's Marvel Disney, but this one in particular, people have a lot to say about it. I'll let you go
They do
first
have a
with
lot.
your thoughts because I think they are favorable. Let's go first with you because I think your thoughts are favorable.
Okay. So before we get there, let's talk about what we're eating because I'm hungry.
Oh boy.
This is Flix and Mix. I am eating huli huli chicken from Hawaiian Brothers. It's so good. So I didn't make this, but I did put it on the plate to make it look real good.
So huli huli chicken, what is this?
It's goodness. I don't know. Some kind of soy sauce mixture on top of chicken and steamed rice, and their veggies are fantastic. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That sounds amazing. It looks amazing. I'm a little bit jealous, but not too jealous because I am doing a very simple vegan breakfast. I am doing a sous vide. So this is from Just Egg and it's a sous vide. And I have a little bit of grilled ham and then a half of a grapefruit. So I am excited. I'm going to be slurping on this grapefruit.
So we're kind of having like brunch.
Yes.
I'm having a little lunch. You're having that. And I love grapefruit, by the way.
Huli.
Mm-hmm. That's what they call it. It's Hawaiian for chicken. So
they're building a new Hawaiian Brothers right around the corner from me. So yes.
It's blowing up. The North Kansas City location was the first in Kansas City. I actually did an interview with them, and yeah, they are just going crazy. And they were really good at carryout before the pandemic. So they opened a little bit before the pandemic, and they were already really good at carryout. So they had,
no problems with the transition. Yeah.
Oh, no problem at all.
And so are they, where are they out of? Are they out of, is it Colorado? Where are they out of?
So I get it mixed up with another chicken and pickle because they're so close together. Because I think chicken and pickle, one of them has a location in Wichita. So I'm not doing a very good job. But I know that Kansas City turned out to be a really, really good market for both of them. Because chicken and pickle is now expanding as well, which they have great food as well. And we'll have to do that for another episode.
Yes. I'm not sure that I've heard of chicken and pickle.
Oh, so pickleball and food. It's great.
Pickleball.
Yeah, that's for a whole. It's for a whole other episode.
You're gonna have to educate me.
It's fun. It's kind of like a little bit of tennis, badminton, but it's on a smaller court. You can play doubles. It's a lot of fun, and you play with the wiffle ball.
So. Okay, so we're gonna have to go there sometime. So all right.
It'll be fun.
Food, we flixing and mixing with the Eternals.
Okay, so I will say that going into this, I didn't really know much about Eternals. I feel like there are a lot of viewers, moviegoers out there who've been kind of like the last 10 years with Marvel, like, oh, we know who Thor is, we know who Black Widow is, and now we're entering this new phase of Marvel films where these characters are very obscure. No one has heard, unless you are a die-hard Marvel fan, or just the average movie, you don't know who these people, these superheroes are, things like that. So I went in, I read up a little bit about them because I knew they changed up some of the characters from male to female to a different race, which is great. I really appreciated the diversity in this film. What I also appreciated was the fact that it wasn't a film where we were going up against a Thanos or a villain, without giving too many spoilers away, an obvious villain. So we're trying to save the world, but we're not working against like a bad guy on the other side. It just felt, I liked that because it was a little different. And another thing, it didn't really feel like a Marvel film because they did mention a couple characters in the Marvel movies, but it felt like it was completely separate from the Marvel world, that even though it's set in present day that we've experienced. So I did appreciate that, but I will tell you that the plot, as I told the studio as I left, it is complicated. It's real complicated. And it kind of frustrated me a little bit about how complicated it was. I feel like this film, and again, overall, I did enjoy it. However, I feel like it could have easily been two films. I'm really getting tired of the going back to the beginning of our story when we're supposed to be in present day and trying to fill in the gaps. This has been a format that has worked for so many years now, but I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of it. Like, let's find a different way to tell stories without, oh, we have to reach in the past and kind of help you fill in the gaps, because we kept going back and forth to present day, not even present day, from when they first arrived to present day to then some other time AD, BC. It's just like, what the, who? And we don't even know these characters. We don't even know who these characters are yet. Like,
I think, you are very generous with the word complicated. I think that it was convoluted. I thought, like you, that the time hopping, this isn't a time travel film. And so the constant time hopping was like whiplash. What are you doing here? Like, I couldn't keep my wig on, I was like, woo! And so I agree with you. So these characters, I didn't know much about them either going in, and I know Jack Kirby. We've grown to love what he contributed to Marvel, particularly since Black Panther, and I had never heard of this. I do not do any research before I go into a movie. I like to, I always say, experience a movie the way I did when I was a kid, when they would say, get your coats, we're going to the movies. You had no idea what it was going to, it's just like, yay, the movie is such a special place. And so that's how I like to experience it. Man, do I wish I had read a little bit more before I went in, because I didn't have any expectations. I rarely do. I didn't know. I assumed that there were updates made for cultural, the pulse of the culture. But I didn't really know much. I knew that Chloe Zhao was directing, and she just came off this Oscar for Nomadland. So, I didn't have many expectations, but from those things that I knew, I said, okay, this might be really good. And then I started hearing some negative buzz. And so I'm the kind of person, when I hear negative buzz, I want to go in and champion. I want to say, oh, this is an underdog. I want to love it. I did not. I tried and I could not. So my takeaway was a little less favorable, because you did enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah, I absolutely did. But like you mentioned, convoluted, that's probably another great word to describe it. Because there were so many characters, there were so many Eternals that we were supposed to care about. And then, spoiler alert, when some of them aren't around anymore, there's not, you don't have that connection and that attachment to these characters, because you maybe have only spent a few minutes with them overall. I mean, they're part of the larger group, but when something happens to one of them,
yes, code for you don't care. Yes, yeah. You're being ultra polite, but I think this movie is I think it's a real disservice to the storytelling that Marvel has become known for, it's a disservice to that. You do not care when anything good or bad happens to these characters. It's just like, man, it was just kind of, it wasn't even a bad roller coaster ride. It was just like, okay, you've got me in this loop of go ahead, come back a little, go ahead. I mean, it's like doing a film hokey pokey, but it wasn't fun at all. It's like, what are you doing?
That's true. Like, and Marvel is known for that, having that fun. And again, there were little jokes here and there, but overall they didn't really hit because it's such a serious, more of a serious film.
So, and I can appreciate liking it. And so I want to hear what you did like about it. And then my question for you after you say that is, in terms of the diversity, because there is ethnic diversity, we have a deaf person on screen, a deaf beauty queen at that. Come on now. You have a gay couple, Black male, and an Arab husband, and they have a child together, a son that they're raising. And so this diversity is important just in general to depict, all manner of being.
Well, but and when we're doing it, that's what they've been saying, is that's why this film has been getting so much hate online, is because it doesn't have a Chris as the main hero. It doesn't have a white Chris as the main hero. And so part of that is, kind of the backlash, because apparently these comic book nerds, they are expecting something a little different than what we received on screen. And this is I think this kind of goes back to what we talked about in Dune and a couple other things. Like, would this have been better as a series? Because then you wouldn't necessarily have to have so much back and forth. You could start from the beginning. I mean, I thought that's what Disney and Marvel were doing with some of these series, is you're fleshing out some of these characters. And right now it's been characters that we have grown to appreciate and we're attached to from the movies that didn't get as much time in the spotlight. If you're launching a new phase that these characters are going to be a part of, even though you have Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, you had some big names that maybe don't want to be associated with a streaming service show. But I think I think this is a prime example of what would have been better served, is if this was a 2-season series that they could have split up and kind of worked our way into this. Because here's the thing, this is just the beginning. All of the other plans that Marvel has of bringing all of these new characters in, this is what every Marvel movie is going to look like going forward. It is going, it's going to be and they're going to bring the X-Men into this universe.
Okay, so you're dropping some insider tips for me, because I don't know all this. Like, I don't get on.
So prepare. I'm just saying, prepare yourself that a movie like this, we're going to get more of these.
Well, so one of the things that concern me is the consistent references to Thanos. And I am like, what? I don't hardly remember Thanos anymore. Like, I've moved on. I've watched the Winter Soldier. I've watched the one with the Scarlet Witch. I mean, I've watched your series. I've watched Loki. Like, I'm going forward. Why are we still referencing Thanos? So my question is that coming back in some way? Or do they think it was that Thanos and those two movies had such an impact on the franchise that it's the anchor for the rest of their stories? And I would like for them to kind of reevaluate that and maybe even let that go.
it's more likely a way to anchor the audience into saying why these superheroes didn't show up when Thanos was such a big part of this franchise. Now, I will say, I think we're not going to see Thanos again. However, the post-credit scenes, one of them includes Thanos' brother. So I think it was that way of kind of weaving him into, look, this is still a Marvel movie for that general audience, because they know the word, they know the character Thanos. So I think it's a way to kind of anchor them into this story and explain kind of like, especially with the post-credit scenes, where we're going next. We're going to outer space. We're going to the Guardians of the Galaxy, where Thor is going to be in outer space, and more than likely, some of the remaining Eternal characters will be showing up in these other movies.
So of these characters, which ones would you like to see show up in any other movie? I'm okay without them, so I don't need to address that. But I think so. But who would you like to see more from?
So maybe not see more from, but you know who's going to be there coming forward. You don't get Angelina Jolie into a Marvel film, and she's not going to be in multiple Marvel films. So she will be one, and they tease that going forward.
But she was so wasted in this movie. I mean, her first fight scene, I said, ooh, she still know how to work that face. I mean, she has a killer fight stance. Like, I'm an Angelina Jolie fan. But then to remove her from the narrative was confusing, confounding. It was alarming. Why would you do this? Because
she has a multi-picture, she has a multiple picture deal. Salma Hayek has a one picture deal. Spoiler alert. Ish. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to use Salma Hayek while you have her. Angelina Jolie, she's probably signed a 3 to 5 picture deal, and they know that we're going to get more of her in the next couple of installments.
You're so smart. You know, I mean, no, seriously, but some of it was, I think, who we need to utilize now, but it was just kind of the treatment of all the characters. I felt the same way about Brian Tyree and
Henry,
where his character was completely underutilized. It was, where is he? Well, where is he? And so when we get this picture of this Eternal who is in a same-sex relationship, living in a suburban home with the white picket fence and well, the one child, right? It became I was like, did y'all just like tack this on here? And the reason why I'm concerned and it is because now it's like people think you can't get a movie made unless you have this, check this box, check this box, check this box. And it's like, because otherwise I didn't feel that the character was properly utilized.
You could say that about most of the characters, but yeah, especially him. I mean, we didn't see his present day until we were 3/4 through with the movie.
Yes.
I mean, it was late in the game, even though you have all these flashbacks, but
he was barely in the flashbacks. I remember him in particular, and then I forget his name, the Irish fellow who could whose eyes would light up. He'd light your eyes up, right?
Druid.
Yeah, he was fine. I did not think he had enough screen time, and it was kind of I think the problem with the movie is what I'm interested in with a character, and I think this is broadly for audiences, what an audience would be interested in, what we like to learn about superheroes and how they serve the world and all these things, those things were kept off the table in this movie. It may be introduced down the line, but they were kept off the table. The things that I wanted to know, I didn't get.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're going to get it in the next couple movies. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, Marvel is now at a turning point. Like, it is just going to be, I mean, we do have Spider-Man coming up. We have Doctor Strange, the multiverse of madness. Everything is going to be thrown in that movie. So
I'm okay. I'm not out. I'm just hurt. I'm just hurt for this one, but I'm not out. I can't wait to see what happens. I was very interested in God as the Iron Giant. I thought that was an interesting design choice because it wasn't really the Iron Giant, but I was like, the Iron Giant is.
It did, yeah. It looked very
God
similar.
Yeah. So, but this multiverse, what I'm thinking about is we understand Marvel already as a multiverse, right? So we have these different properties that kind of exist, like you said, the X-Men, and then you have the Avengers. And so now are we going back and we're showing the creation of the multiverse? And I thought that was very interesting. I love Angelina Jolie again. She was great for me. I loved Salma Hayek. I know that there were people who were complaining about her accent. And I thought, are you crazy? Like, she's Salma Hayek. You don't know her? For one. Right. She's always had a strong accent. And I think it's an accent that is beautiful. I've always enjoyed.
But the thing is, it was a male character in the original. I think that's also part of the hate.
Yes. Yeah.
Change things.
I was just talking with Sean Edwards about Halle Berry because she's being honored in the celebration of Black cinema with the Lifetime Achievement Award, right? And we talked about Catwoman, and we thought, was Catwoman really as problematic as we made it out to be, or was it the fanboy hatred that this Catwoman on the big screen was being portrayed by a Black woman at a time when diversity wasn't pushed the way it is now,
and there was no Batman.
Yeah, she stood alone.
Right. The combination.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I definitely think that we're always managing the fanboy. It's like very strange that people who love comic books, this region of imagination, it's like the world of the imagination where these beings can come from anywhere. These beings can have whatever powers and affect the world in myriad of ways, that the people who love those things are the same people who are so closed-minded, who are so I think it's an interesting dichotomy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I mean, I completely agree. But I did enjoy it in the fact that of those certain elements. But again, it's really difficult to watch and pay attention to. You want a popcorn movie, which it is, but it's really hard to kind of keep your focus on what you're supposed to be keeping your focus on. That I think they want us to keep our focus on.
Did you feel a little bad watching the movie? I felt a little bad because I was like, where's Tenochtitlan again? Like, I was like, that's in Mexico, right? Like, they're taking you all over the globe, which is great, but they're saying, these areas of the world where some places I was like, ooh, I don't remember where that's at. Challenge. So I learned something.
Yeah.
Revisited some information. I did enjoy the world wandering. I enjoyed that part. I thought visually it was still beautiful. So what can you tell me about Kit Harington? That's his name, right?
Right. So I had to read up on that afterwards because I thought, oh, he's right at the beginning. He has to be a big part of this. And he was just like the boyfriend hanging on her arm. Like, what? And then come to find out he has a bigger role coming going forward. As he was trying to explain, again, spoiler alert, he was trying to explain to her at the end that his family something, and then something happens and he's cut off, and then he is in the second post credit scene, and so he will definitely have a larger role. But again, this was just kind of another way to kind of set it up. And again, if this had been two movies, this could have been easily the second movie in present day. They could have done one, like, let's spend some time with the Eternals. We know that they were brought here for a reason. And I did there were certain scenes that I thought really, really worked. Like the scene where they were having they were talking about, is this right? Like, we're not interfering. This is genocide. And we have the power to stop this. But yet you think that, this needs to happen so they can get to wherever the human race needs to go. And then, it was also mentioned, in another scene that, oh, they got here. And we, we were surprised that they did this. So there were some, I think, very interesting conversations that were had that you wouldn't expect to watch in a Marvel movie, talking about genocide and the fact that whether or not we should be stepping in. And that I was like, I was riveted by those scenes, because I'm like, oh, this is, taking me out of that Marvel mindset of it's just all about saving the world. I mean, it is saving the world, but you know what I mean? Like, fighting the bad guys.
But the world, we are the bad guys? Yes, the world is so much more complicated, and I do appreciate the messaging. So the different conversations that I think the movie could spark. It's so unfortunate, and this is where I was going with the question about diversity. Is I just think this wasn't the strongest narrative to introduce diversity in this way. Not introduce, but continue that depiction in this way. It just wasn't a strong enough narrative. And so if we're talking about global domination, if we are talking about genocide, if we're talking about colonization, colonialism, and all these things, like, these are the things that they're talking about when we're looking at these conquistadors, right? And we are saying this is wrong. We're talking about but world history in a way that is critical. But because the movie doesn't do everything that it needs to do in the other areas, in the creative areas, I think those conversations are ignored, because I think the more concerning thing is the overall treatment of I'm just sad. Now I'm sad. At first I was mad. Now I'm sad.
Okay, so you asked me about, certain things. So what did you like about
it? So those were the things. I definitely love Angelina Jolie's face. I mean, I was like, for me, I think that she is one of the fiercest right. I do love the face that she gives. So I think it was very early on in that very first fight scene, which you get in the first couple minutes, right, of the movie. They knew just how to frame it. She give you that look like you finna get it. So I was like, "Ooh, it's on," and they gave her weapons, and she's just still performing at this very high and athletic level, which I love. I found it very interesting how integrated the the sign language was. I enjoyed that integration. I thought it was seamless. I thought the way that it was done, um, it was just like a part of the world. It's just a part of life, and I absolutely appreciated that. Um, I'm trying to think of the things that I liked about this movie. They are few. Um, Visually, I thought it was lovely. Um, and again, I enjoyed the potential for conversation, for deep conversation about who we are and which players we are in the world game, and I guess the universe game now, because they made just busted that wide open. So I do absolutely enjoy that. I enjoyed the fun that I got to make of the movie when I left it.
Hmm. Well,
So yeah,
that's something. That's something. We're
that's
a little
something.
split on this one, but that's okay. That's all right. I
Yeah,
mean, it's not
we're
like I want
split
to go
on
to
this one.
I don't want to run to the theater and see it again, like I do Dune. I want to watch that multiple times.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I will say I've thought about it um,
Mhm.
multiple times. I don't necessarily need to see it again, but I can't wait for part two.
Right. Me
Yeah,
too.
this one I'll watch part two because they did what they needed to do at the end and hooked me. I was like, well, damn, now I gotta go see the next one. So yeah,
And that's the goal of every movie.
exactly. I just hope that the traditional model of cinematic storytelling is not, it should not be dead. Um, I just saw King Richard. Did you see King Richard? Mm. And the thing, at one point, it's one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year. If they don't give Will Smith the Academy Award, I'm done with them. Yeah, as a consumer, as a viewer, done. Um, this is and this is from somebody who, as a little girl, dreamed of growing up and winning an Oscar. That's how much I revere. If they don't give Will Smith the Academy Award for this role, deuces. Okay. But one thing that I thought when I was watching it is, oh my God, I'm so happy that they did not try to use the superhero model to tell this story. Yeah. That was one of the great flaws that I thought about Respect, was that they tried to use the superhero model to tell Aretha Franklin's story. And I thought, come on now, this is Shakespeare. He dead, but he ain't dead. Like we can utilize what we've understood for generations about how to tell a great story. They don't all have to be big Marvel movies.
No,
And I
because that
think
gets
that even,
old.
yes, I think even big Marvel movies, it's okay for them to go, you know what? Maybe we don't have to do that as much.
Well, and that I think that's kind of the issue with this movie. They tried to do something different, and if audiences don't respond, they'll be like, "Oh, see, we got to go back to this other formula," because she's known for doing more independent movies, and they tried to do that flair, but if it doesn't work, and I don't think it doesn't work because of the independent aspect, but I think it's because of they try to fit it into that superhero format.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. If they would have just taken the past and let it be the past, because there was some rich storytelling in the past. And then separated it from the present, which was also like, dang, there was a moment. I'm a crier, right? I cry at everything. I think I told you this. I cry at episodes of the Golden Girls that I've seen 100 times. I still cry. Okay. And there is a significant moment of betrayal. I experienced personally my biggest heartache as a young girl, and it was a betrayal. And it was from somebody that you think would always love you, and this person betrayed me young. And so I am hypersensitive to betrayal. So one little piece of betrayal and I'm bawling. And in this movie, I was unmoved by the betrayal in this film. And it was a major betrayal. And I thought they've miscalibrated this film. Because if Lonita ain't crying, okay, and it was worth tears what happened. And so that is the biggest issue. And I think it's rooted in they've taken a director and writer, because she co-wrote this as well, who up until this point her best efforts have been independent. They've been these very wide open epic tales, sure, but they've had an independent spirit to them, very artsy in many aspects, right? And they've tried to like fit her into the Marvel box, and the Marvel machine. And that, I think that's why it suffers. I don't want to say she's too good for Marvel. That's not what I mean to imply. But if that's what you heard.
Marvel better watch out.
Yeah. I mean, we as so do you think it's our job as critics and then our job as consumer public to kind of hold them at bay and say, hold on. You're not doing a good job here. Like, is it our job to say, let's go back to the drawing board next time and get it right? Or do we just, take what they give us?
Well, I think it's a combination, but we all know that it's going to all come down to the bottom line and how much money is made or isn't made. And then it's like, okay, and then they'll take, if it doesn't live up to previous Marvel films, then they'll look at, okay, why did it not? And then that's when the door opens to, oh, this is probably something we should have done this a little differently and not put in the machine and try and produce something that we've already seen before.
But that is my worry. I think of all the things that I've said, that is what I'm trying to get at. I don't want them to go, it's because of the diversity. It's because we use this and then start pulling back on that. That's not, because it's not the diversity that's the problem. It is the treatment, the cookie cutter treatment. Yeah.
It's just bad that they're happening at the same time with this one.
Yeah, So let's end on a high note. What high note
Okay.
can we end on? Because I don't want to leave, but like, the Eternals, I don't want to do that.
Good.
Good. So for us, I don't know when we are being watched, but for us, it is Friday.
That's always usually a very happy note, and
Yes.
it's beautiful outside. So
it's gorgeous outside. It's supposed to get better over the weekend. It's been very chilly. And it is supposed to be 70 degrees in a couple days. So yes,
that's a high note.
So the last time that we talked, though, that you had just come from a really cool kickball game. Have you played any more games?
I have, and we won, and we have just 2 more weekends left of kickball for the season. So it'll be great, and this weekend's gonna be great weather. But who knows what the last weekend will be like? Because we are right there, teetering on the edge of winter. So we'll see.
But you do play rain or shine?
Unless it is storming, like there's thunder or lightning, then we don't. But yeah, we play with rains too.
Yay! Well, I want to try to come to your last game because this weekend you have a game.
This weekend and then next weekend is the tournament. So I'll send you an invite.
Send me an invite. I want to come to the tournament. Should I bring pom-poms? What should I do?
Pom-poms, streamers, pom-poms for sure. That's always good.
Well, I'm there. This is awesome, Mitch. You're always so awesome to talk to.
No, just staying busy. All
right. Well, then that's been Flix and Mix, honey.